Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have gone on that brief journey with you and actually learned even more from your presentation than I had before we came, so thank you. I now have the honor of introducing Jessica Humphrey, and I don't know where Jessica's, there you are. Excuse me. Jessica lives in Victoria with her husband and her 2 children who are 8 and 10.
They're older now.
Are they older now? See, I was told this might... 10 and 12, that's what I meant. Her daughter has the label of a developmental disability. She believes in authentic, lifelong inclusion for all people and often uses storytelling as a way to share her values and vision for the future. Welcome, Jessica.
Where's the little controller? Oh, who's got the power? Oh, it's right here. Oh. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Norm? Yeah. So here's a picture of the opposite of seclusion and restraint. Just a quick acknowledgement of all the moms and dads in the room and students. It's pretty heavy duty, so take a breath and take a moment for yourself. So I'm Jessica, and I live in Victoria with my family. I have 2 kids. Hudson is in grade 5, and Sahara is in grade 6. And Sahara is the rocker chick in the leather jacket and the shades in the picture there. This is a photo of Sahara's 12th birthday party, so just in April. Make it go forward. Oh, there we go. This side one? Yeah. So we rented a limo and we invited all of our girlfriends on a bit of a joyride. And I learned a new word that day. Anyone know what the word cardy means? Party in a car. Something that I think every 12-year-old girl needs to experience. So I was invited to speak today as a mom, to tell our story of how with the right people, with the right values and the right vision, can create a community around you and work together to ensure that segregation and seclusion and restraint doesn't happen. And it kind of freaks me out how pictures like these are kind of unusual, and how those stories that we've been hearing tonight are actually more normalized than pictures like this. And it makes me sad to think that when kids are not treated with dignity and respect, that nobody notices. That it's so normal to see those kids in that room and how dangerous that is. And so, you know, we've worked really hard for this reality. And there's people in this room that have helped build that for us. And it's what every kid should have. And it, you know, for obvious reasons, that's what we're going for. You know, for the same reasons as any parent would want their kid to be valued and belong and feel like a rock star. But I think we're also going for that reality because it keeps her safe. And if we have an entire community around us that sees this as the norm, then they'll say something when it's not. I also need to say something. It takes a lot of bravery to speak up when you don't see this happening, right? So all those families that did that survey and all of the people that told them that that was going on for their son or daughter, as a parent and all you parents in the room, it's hard to go against the status quo, right? To say this is what I think is right when everyone else around you thinks something different. So just to speak up and say, you know, to put that note on the windshield if that's what you have to do, takes a lot of bravery. So I think we need to acknowledge that and ask for that to continue to happen. Because she's so cute, and you have to see how cute she is. I was really blessed to start on this this journey of questioning the whole idea of the path we wanted to be on really early. And it started, and this is just a little moment for the Family Support Institute. It's when families connect that you can start questioning things together and realize you're not as nuts as it sometimes feels, right? And you get to think together about what's happening. And so I met my dear friend Heather, who's not here tonight, when our girls were about a year old. Now we met. I always joke we escaped a focus therapy play group together. We looked at each other and made a run for it. But it wasn't without being able to see another mom who you were like, I know, you know what I know, here, we gotta go. Without that, who knows what the path would have been like. So we've been on this ongoing journey together to question just about every decision we make. It drives our husbands totally bananas. But should we do this? Should we do that? Should we? And we started questioning the ongoing assessments that happened for our kids. By the time they were 3, they'd been assessed like 48 billion times, and we thought, what are we doing this for? They're just telling us how unnormal they really are, and we kind of already know that. So we sort of landed on these two values or principles or whatever you want to call them, but they've guided us along these last 12 years, and widening the stream really is all about, it's not about mainstreaming for us, it's not really even about inclusion for us, it's about widening the stream and ensuring that we can all be there for who we are and making, doing whatever you need to do to make that happen. And exclude none, let's just assume that we're there. We don't have to include if we know that we're already there, and really the trick is to ensure that we're never excluded, that our children are never excluded. So wouldn't it be great if we had exclude none policies in school rather than inclusion policies? So we went on a journey to find other parents like us, and I'm telling you, it's hard to find people. But we did. When the girls were about 3, we met some families in BC that had fought very hard for inclusion for their sons and daughters through K-12 system, and they thought, why are we fighting so hard if what happens afterwards isn't equally inclusive? And it's a grassroots movement, started in Alberta, been happening in Alberta for over 25 years, but to ensure that when your son or your daughter finishes high school, that there's an inclusive path for them afterwards. And so that they could, if they wanted, follow the same path as their son or their daughter, as their peers. And so we worked together for this organization when the girls were really little, and we worked to support young adults who live with the label of a developmental disability to go and study whatever they were passionate about, a university or college. So it wasn't in a special education program, but in a regular university or college classroom. And we took our theories of exclude none and widening the stream with us, and it works. And we modified and adapted biochemistry in courses that we never knew anything about in the first place. And we supported students that had never been in an inclusive educational setting before, who had been labeled with behavior challenges and not allowed to access, and with the right positive behavior strategies and community and conversations, we know it works. And so I was armed with all of this evidence when Sahara started grade 1. But of course, even though you believe in it, you're not sure everyone else believes in it. And so in all my wisdom, I decided I would make a presentation to the grade 1 class. And I would let them know how this was going to be and how these kids were going to see Sahara just like, their brothers or their sisters, and how normal she really was. And so there I was in circle time in grade 1. And I'm making this, they're 6, remember? La, 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 what's happening when snack? And I'm saying, no, these are all the things that make Sahar, and Sahara's sitting there in her wheelchair next to them, and these are all the things that make her the same as you. She loves music, and she loves books, and, just so you know, she's just like you guys. And they're like, okay. And I said, and, there are some things that make her different, like, can you guys think of anything? And they're like, she's got arms and legs like me. Yeah, but what make her different? Like she doesn't talk, and she doesn't see very well. Oh, yeah. But there's no judgment, right? Of course they knew she was different, but there was no judgment, and so I decided I needed to let that go. Ditch the speech, yeah. I think, so Sahara has had an unbelievably inclusive education experience. She's had a school team and an assistant and every teacher who has embraced it. And we've been very, very intentional about ensuring that there was never an opportunity for anyone to see her as other. So Sahara was never allowed to use any designated space because of her label. And I think people started to think that it was easy because look how cute she is, and she must be someone that doesn't have challenges like this kid that we need to use the resource room for. And I think what we don't realize is when it's seamlessly seamless and unremarkable, it's when positive behavior support is really being used to its expertise. And in about, I'd say, end of grade 3, beginning of grade 4, Sahara started to have a lot of trouble integrating her senses, being very frustrated with the lack of communication methods that she was given, and she started to get pretty rough. She started to pull hair, she started to pinch and scratch. She started to hold on tight and not let go. She started ripping people's schoolwork, other kids' schoolwork. One day I found the grade 3 teacher in kind of a headlock at the front of the class, and Sahara had her fingers sort of tangled up in her hair so tight she couldn't get loose. And another kid, we had to cut her hair in order to get Sahara's hands out, and kids' schoolwork was being ripped. She was crying a lot. She got really frustrated through any transition time, and being quiet wasn't something she was really good at, especially during tests and things. And I, the inclusion Nazi, thought this was it. I had made an error. This wasn't possible. This wasn't going to work. She can't be disrupting other kids. She can't be hurting other kids. She can't be hurting herself. She pinched at herself. And I thought that it wasn't going to work, and it was going to be recommended that, that she use a different space. Oh dear. It's got a bit taller. Did you notice that? I thought that all of our work and all of her friends were at serious risk, and it would be recommended that she spend time in that room decompressing. And I thought that her friends wouldn't want to be with her anymore. But her support around her, the people in our life, her friends, friends' parents, all of the school community around us, they never wavered once because they saw that it worked, and that if we did something different, it would be detrimental to who she was. And so when I called the mom whose kid I had to cut the hair to get the hands out, I said, you might want to let your, talk to your daughter about what happened. I want you to know what happened. And so she did, and she called me back. And she said, well, her daughter said that Sahara doesn't mean to do those things. She just can't help it right now. And maybe we could go shopping at the dollar store to buy one of those stretchy chickens so she could grab that instead. So they did. They went shopping. The teacher at the front of the room in the headlock, you know, I would try and go in to save the day, and she'd say, don't worry, the kids know what to do, and the kids would come up, and they'd say, don't worry, Mrs. Richardson, you just have to flick the back of her head, and she doesn't like that very much, and then she'll let go. Okay. She was crying a lot. We didn't know what to do during spelling tests or things where you really did have to be quiet, and so they asked the kids, what should we do? And they said, well, Sahara loves music and clapping and rhythm. Let's sing the spelling test. And so they did. And all the kids love spelling tests now, which is a good thing, right? And so I think I think it's easy to go to the place where, well, for some kids it works and for some kids it doesn't. And, you know, I don't want Sahara to do those things anymore. I want her to stop doing them, but she can't right now. But she's now going to grade 6 at her middle school, and all those kids know her, and they all know what to do, and they all notice if she's not there, and they ask questions. So that's a picture of Sahara graduating from grade 5, and that's the vice principal whom's tie she has in her grip, in her pit bull grip, where you really have to wait in order for her to let go. And those are her girlfriends. And you'll notice her hands are up like this, and you can see where her friends' hands are. So they've figured out, right? How to hang out without getting hung on to. But do they look stressed? They don't look too stressed about it. Her friends, their parents, who have become our friends, other supporters, and people in our life because of Sahara, some of whom are here today. They have never seen her as separate or treated as less worthy. And if they do, they notice, and they say something, and we make it right together. I think we're all here because we know it's not okay to have restraint or inclusion. I think we're all here because we know it's not okay to have segregation at all. It leads to being invisible, and when you're invisible, nobody notices if you're being abused, even if it's happening right in front of them. They just walk on by. So, for all of you 80s fans, this is the new Spice Girls. There's Ginger there on your far right, and Sporty Spice, and Posh, and Baby Spice, and Scary Spice. Thanks, you guys.